Have you started hearing about more ways of owning properties? There are many companies out there, including Divvy and Pacaso, and this wave of innovation is not going to stop. Let's explore the pros and cons of fractional ownership. Fractional ownership is not new. When my parents came to America 4 decades ago, they bought a small 2-bedroom condo in the valley with another family friend, as they knew they wanted to get out of renting and into homeownership as fast as possible. They then eventually used those gains of the proceeds of that place to buy their own individual homes afterwards. Pretty incredible. However, not everyone has personal friends or family that they trust with these types of decisions. So they may elect to use different services for this kind of help. So what are the pros and cons of fractional ownership? Let's talk about the pros first. Number one, owning properties fractionally gives you the opportunity to own a portion of one or more properties in a prime location that you might not otherwise be able to afford on your own. With multiple owners sharing the cost, you can enjoy all the amenities like a high-end resort condominium without breaking the bank. Number two, you actually own the property. This is very different than like a timeshare. Because you own the property, you actually have part of the deed to a fraction of the property itself. Sometimes it's called a fractional interest. This means that the value of your share in the property increases or decreases in line with the property's real estate value. Any increase in value, which happens typically over a long period of time, will then be gained equity for all fractional owners. Usage rights. Unlike short-term vacation rentals, with a fractional ownership property, you actually technically can use it at a proportion similar to what you actually own it with. So for example, if you own a fourth of the property, you can use it technically a fourth of the year, which is basically 3 months. You can enjoy the home to the fullest extent of the share in the fractional ownership agreement, or you can make a deal with others to potentially rent out from the others. Shared upkeep and maintenance cost. When you hold ownership of a vacation property using the fractional ownership model, you're also responsible for a fraction of the upkeep and maintenance. So this includes a lot of the shared costs you're going to be paying anyways. It could be property taxes, if there's HOAs, there could be different repairs, landscaping, utilities, property management companies, anything in general you'll be shared amongst all the other people. Next, lower upkeep and maintenance burden. Because you're in a fractional ownership, many of these agreements are going to have some sort of property management involved. This allows owners to decide on issues together that may potentially arise and split the cost. Next, there's a potential for rental income. A fractionally owned property can be rented out, just like any other property, either a short-term or a long-term rental, if the ownership agreement that you guys have in place agree upon that. Depending on the terms of this agreement, all owners may earn a share in the proceeds of rental income. I, for example, personally invest in much larger ones, which are apartment syndications, and it's a similar mindset there. Next, fractional ownerships can be considered also as an investment opportunity. Because this is no longer a timeshare, we're just simply leasing out space, you do actually own the property, so you do gain the benefits as it appreciates over a long period. You actually own the asset itself. So you're buying a single family home, you own the structure, the land, any sort of furnishes you have there. And so, as I mentioned, because you are holding this over a long period, it may ultimately benefit those individuals. Now, with all these pros, there are always cons, and some of the cons are going to be as illustrated. Number one, there are much less financing options. I mean, think about this. You can either buy another home, but then you're going to be sharing that loan with other people that you may or may not trust. That is always very difficult to do. So a lot of this may have to be purchased in cash. Now, there's going to be a lot of innovative lending options that will be available for this, just like a TIC has different loan programs. So be on the lookout for that as that changes over time. Number two, less flexibility and freedom. The beauty of owning a property on your own is that you can decide when you want to sell it. However, just like anything else, if you're in a large group or in a group with other people, you do have to be aligned with others. And if you want to share your piece, you need to be able to see if anyone else wants to take that. And the market for that is significantly smaller than the market, as you can imagine, for a standard home purchase. Next, limited travel opportunities. Usually, most people that elect to buy this probably want to stay there at least a few months of the year. If you feel like you want a lot of opportunities to kind of travel all over, maybe you like to go Hawaii or Florida or the Caribbean, and you like to rotate that, you either have multiple of these properties, maybe you buy it into a 1/8 ownership, or you're going to have to be really committed into staying in that particular location. So if that's not something that's of interest to you, this may not be a good fit for you as well. Next, there are usually actually higher overall costs because there are other parties involved. While there's many benefits of a shared cost structure, because there is a company that will be helping you with the management of it, setting up the LLC, and also acquiring potentially the property, there may be a lot more fees if you actually use a third-party company because they're going to add in their premium on top of that. So that's something to be mindful of as well, that you may be paying above what you would typically be paying if you're buying it on your own. So as you can see, where does the pain actually come in general, and why is Pacaso growing so quickly? Number one, Pacaso is backed and founded by the ex-co-founder of Zillow, so he certainly knows a lot about housing. At the same time, as you can see, there's a lot of logistical things in place. It could be pairing yourself up with other investors. It could be acquiring the property. It could be the property management to keep it up and running. It could be an app system that's divvying it all up in terms of how do you ensure that people are using it fairly and there's plenty of leeway and plenty of time so you know and you can plan your travels. There's a lot of these components that are part of this mix, and Pacaso is a company that has a very big head start and a very big brand in a lot of these luxury markets. So if you or anyone you know is considering to buy and have a fractional ownership in a luxury property, such as like here closer to the Bay Area, it could be Lake Tahoe, Sonoma County areas, then you have a lot of great options. Please check it out here. I'm going to have a link so you can see all the available properties, and me as an agent, I can actually help you whether you want to buy a fractional ownership of any of these properties. You get the benefit of my advice and my thoughts. And at the very least, we can also go over if this is the right model that suits for yourself, either from a personal lifestyle perspective or from an investment opportunity. Love to speak with you about that. My contact details are below. I look forward to help you.